When people think about Korean food, I think they think about something called bulgogi, which is the short rib dish that's marinated in soy sauce, garlic, and sugar. In today's recipe, we're going to be making that a little healthier by using something called allulose, which is a sugar replacement that carries that same sweet flavor without the calories. We're also going to be meal prepping it for the week, so let's get cooking up, guys. Bulgogi really is an amazing dish that is enjoyed in Korean households almost every week. The problem with eating bulgogi so often, however, is the high amounts of sugars and fats that it carries. In today's recipe, we try to emulate those same flavors while cutting down on a lot of the calories so we can enjoy bulgogi on the daily. Let's get into this, guys. So the ingredient list will be down in the description below, so make sure you get everything before you start out this recipe. We're going to be starting it off with 1 pound of ground beef. We managed to find this 90-10 version. It was still pretty good despite the lack of fat. We got 1 tablespoon of rice wine and 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. We got 2 tablespoons of allulose and 1 teaspoon of cane sugar. This is actually the perfect amount of sweetness we needed for this dish. We have 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. We got 2 tablespoons each of chopped garlic and green onions. We got 1 jalapeno, 1 oyster mushroom, and a couple stems of green onions. We got 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 chopped onion, and a teaspoon of sesame seeds to finish. So let's get started with prepping our ingredients. Prepping is always that part that sucks to do, but it really saves us so much time at the end. For this recipe, we want to chop up the jalapenos nice and thinly and roughly chop up the mushroom and green onions as it's going into our ground beef, make sure as we stir fry it. The combination of these 3 veggies add a ton of flavor, so make sure not to neglect this step. Now that our veggies are all prepped up, let's get to making the marinade for this bulgogi. This is my mom's recipe, so you know it's gonna be good. Into a bowl, let's add in 1 pound of ground beef, 2 tablespoons of allulose, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of chopped garlic, 1 tablespoon of the jalapenos from earlier, 2 tablespoons of chopped green onions, and 1 tablespoon of the cooking wine. Mix well and let that sit for up to an hour. You can go for up to a day to let those flavors really seep in there if you got the time on your hands. If you got the time and try it for a day, it'll come out so much better. Now let's get to cooking up the meat. When I used to cook ground beef, I didn't let it fully brown and ended up with a very wet and soggy texture to the beef. Although this is 93.7 beef, there is still some fat in there which will allow the beef to get crispy, as beef will render in its own fat. Let's add in the beef to the cast iron and stir frequently until we see all the beef go brown. This is the part that's pretty crucial as it will enhance both the flavor and the texture of the dish. Let's keep cooking it until the water is gone, as both the marinade and ground beef naturally have tons of water in it. This will take around 10 minutes or so, and it'll feel like the dish is overcooked at this point. However, we want to keep pushing it until we hear the beef starting to sizzle, which indicates that it's frying in its own fat. You'll see the color start to change and the little bits of beef starting to get crispier in texture. Also, we'll let the sugars from the allulose and cane sugar caramelize, which will also enhance the flavor. This is how you do ground beef, so make sure you never have watery ground beef again. Now all we have to do is plate it and serve it with whatever you'd like. We chose to add in 100 grams of rice since I'm on a cut right now and can use a little less carbs than usual. This is where you can play around with the recipe and go for whatever you like. If you want more carbs, then add more rice. If you're cutting like me and don't want carbs at all, then just add in a ton of steamed veggies, which will go amazing with the bulgogi. If you add in the same amount of rice we put in, then each meal will come out to 505 calories with 35 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs, and 28 grams of fat. You really can't go wrong with this stuff, and it really is so easy to fit into any diet. So that is really it for today's recipe. It was a super simple dish, but it's honestly a recipe that packs in the flavor. I just want to say thank you for watching the video, and if you haven't done so, then make sure to like and subscribe, which really gives us the motivation to keep making these videos for you guys. If you want to support the channel, then make sure to check out our cookbook, which features 15 recipes that we haven't shown on this channel yet. We would greatly appreciate it. Let us know what other recipes you guys would like to see, and we would be more than happy to make them for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, I hope to see you guys on the next one.